And we're live, everybody. Welcome in. It is Wednesday, December 6th. It is 2:30 p.m. Central. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're following the Tesla story closely, the Cybertruck story closely, you know that the vehicle was delivered. The first deliveries began last week on November 30th. And now we're at the point where we're starting to get a lot of content coming out about the vehicle. And there's some very specific commentary that I want to focus on for this video. Because I think what's starting to happen is that we're starting to get clues from the broader automotive market on how this car is performing, what the feature sets are. And I'm finding a lot of the commentary super interesting. And as somebody that follows the EV space very closely and is also fascinated about the broader auto market in general, I really think it's worth digging a little bit deeper because there's a lot of clues in there as far as how this truck is likely to perform in the very near future. A couple of things I want to share with you before we really get into that. As far as the content for the vehicle goes, here's Jay Leno, which, if you're not familiar, Jay Leno has this very big, very big automotive show, Jay Leno's Garage, where he goes in depth into a lot of different vehicles. It's very much a car enthusiast type media channel. But here he is test driving a Cybertruck. One of his friends just got it. It looks like it's number 5 off the line, and he was able to get one of those, which I'm assuming will correlate to some sort of pretty heavy-duty content here coming out from Jay Leno's Garage in the coming days and weeks. There's also more content coming out from places like Car Wow. Here's a video of the Cybertruck drag racing a Lamborghini Urus. Should I spoil the results? I think I'm going to. Here's a comment from the video, which is hilarious. What has the world come to? A Lamborghini losing a race to a Polygon. So it's like this kind of commentary. It's like capturing the imagination of people. But what I really want to start to explore is how this vehicle is being perceived by car enthusiasts and folks that do not follow the Tesla story nearly as close as, say, somebody like myself and a lot of my audience do. Because we're starting to get a lot of fascinating tidbits from the general public. Now, if you're familiar with some of the vehicles that Tesla Cybertruck has been compared to, one of the very common ones that folks keep throwing out is like, hey, the Cybertruck reminds me a lot of the DeLorean mainly because of the stainless steel outside. This vehicle, just a little bit of knowledge about this vehicle. This is from Grok. Thank you, X and XAI, for building another AI tool that works great for this type of research. So the DMC DeLorean came out in 1981. They shipped a total of about 8975 cars between 1981 and 1983 before the company unfortunately went bankrupt. And the original price was around $25,000 in 1981 dollars, which if you draw an equivalent to how much it would be worth today, in today's dollars, it's about $70,000. Now, the reason why this comparison is interesting is because if you really think about the DeLorean back in the day, if you're familiar with car history, the DeLorean really was this thing that captured the imagination of the people because of its looks, because of how it was perceived by the public. It was this very futuristic design, so much so that it ended up in a lot of people's favorite movies, Back to the Future, which I'm sure you've watched that movie. The car was basically part of the movie. That's what they used to travel back and forth between the future and the present. But what's even more interesting about some of the comparisons I'm getting from these car enthusiast media publications, primarily Top Gear and Hagerty, is that the Cybertruck's being compared to a vehicle that's significantly more above its weight class than where the Cybertruck's looking to end up in the near to, say, medium future as they ramp up the product. I'll start with comparing it to the Top Gear comparison. So Top Gear, if you're not familiar, one of the largest automotive publications in the world, if not the largest. Huge reach, millions of views per week, really. And the comparison that Top Gear is drawing, if you watch their review of the Cybertruck, is to the Lamborghini Countach. So Lamborghini Countach, if you're a boy, I'm going to guess when you were growing up, this was probably on your wall. It was on mine. The Lamborghini Countach, when it came out, super striking design, extremely futuristic for its time. And a little bit info about this car from Grok again. The Countach was first introduced in 1974. Over the course of its production until about 1990, they sold about 2,000 units. That's a little bit up in the air, somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 units from some of the reports I'm seeing. It's kind of tough to know the exact number. The original price in 1970s dollars was $52,000, but if you convert that to today's dollars, it's about $235,000. But if you have a Countach, it should be worth somewhere around $1 million. So congratulations to you if you own a Lamborghini Countach. But what's really interesting about this comparison is that they're taking the Cybertruck and they're saying, this reminds me a lot of the Lamborghini Countach because of how it looks and the emotions that it invokes. When you look at the car, you're like, whoa, this thing is insane. That's the type of reaction the Cybertruck is getting, at least from these auto enthusiast publications, right? Then the other one I want to focus on is from Hagerty. Hagerty is another, I would call them the modern Top Gear. They do some freaking excellent work around automotive journalism, and their production is like second to none. I really believe so. Top Gear is great, but Hagerty I think is one tier above. Sorry, Top Gear. Love you guys still. This here is a Lamborghini LM002, which is a freaking ridiculous looking thing. Look at the size of those tires. Insane. This was released in the 1980s, again from Lamborghini, and Hagerty's saying the Cybertruck reminds me a lot of the Lamborghini LM002. A little bit of info about the LM002. This was first introduced in 1986, and it was produced until 1993. There were a total of about 330 units made, and the starting price of the LM002 was around $120,000, which in today's dollars is about $275,000. And if you have a LM002 today, it's probably going to sell over $300,000. But again, they're taking the Cybertruck and they're saying, hey, this thing reminds me of something like the Lamborghini LM002, or in Top Gear's case, the Lamborghini Countach, right? So I find this really, really fascinating. And the reason why is because we're taking this truck from Tesla when they first unveiled it in 2019, with a starting price of back then $40,000, now it's up to $60,000. But because of its look, it's getting compared to vehicles that are significantly above where the Cybertruck is selling today, right now. If I do a comparison of what's likely to be Tesla's how do I say this with proper English? Their best-selling trim, okay, it shouldn't be that hard. The Tesla Cybertruck dual motor all-wheel drive. This vehicle starts at around $80,000. Right now, the reservations, if you want to purchase one, they'll likely ship the Cyber Beasts first, which starts at $100,000. But sometime in the next year, it's very, very likely that they'll start shipping the $80,000 model. If you compare this vehicle to its, let's say, closest competitors, which in this case are going to be the F-150 Lightning and the Rivian R1T, you can see that the pricing for this vehicle is actually very much in line versus the other pickup trucks that are being sold today, and significantly below where cars like the Countach and the LM002 are, which is what these enthusiast publications are comparing the car to. What's even crazier here is if you take into account the EV tax credit, at least in 2023, this might go away for Rivian in 2024, honestly, but in 2023, the Cybertruck is not even the most expensive vehicle for what you get for that price point. The most expensive vehicle in this class is the Rivian R1T, phenomenal truck, but it's a little bit more expensive after the EV tax credit is taken into account. And you can see that the mileage is very comparable. The range you get in the battery, 340 for the Cybertruck, 320 for the Lightning, 352 for the Rivian R1T. Performance is pretty similar as well. The F-150 Lightning, this is the Lariat extended with the max towing package. Still gets 4 seconds. The Cybertruck's 4.1. Similar weight. In this case, the Rivian is the heaviest. The Cybertruck has the longest bed. The Cybertruck has the best payload. And the Cybertruck has as good towing capacity as the Rivian R1T. But again, the crazy thing here is that even though this is the second most expensive car out of the three, it's not even the most expensive, it's being compared to cars like the LM002 or the Lamborghini Countach, right? And the other thing as well that I find really fascinating is that, again, those two cars are planned to be not planned. They don't make them anymore, but they were in very limited quantities. They were made to be exclusive on purpose. When Lamborghini's designing a $200,000-$300,000 car, they don't have mass market in mind. They're like, hey, I want to cater to my customer, which is a mega car enthusiast. But then now you have the situation where Tesla's coming out with this vehicle, with the Cybertruck, that is, again, garnering the same level of like mind-blowing design and like sort of a attention from the enthusiast crowd, but it's being sold at maybe 3 times less, and it's going to be built 100 to 1,000 times more per year than either of those two vehicles. So Tesla's planning to sell about 200 to 250,000 units per year of the Cybertruck. Probably by the end of 2024, they'll reach that milestone, likely middle of 2025 if I were to guess. But again, this paradigm shift has broken, where you would usually have a vehicle, right? Where we usually have a vehicle like you see behind me here, the Cybertruck, that looks freaking crazy. Like, let me show up another picture here. You know, this freaking polygon looking thing, right? That kind of look is usually reserved for insanity, for just, I have $1 million, I want something crazy so that when I go on the Vegas Strip, so everybody will look at me, right? But what Tesla has done, which I find really, really interesting, is that they've taken that and now they're bringing it to the masses somewhat, but in a package that is significantly more affordable than those types of vehicles. And I think if you view the product through that lens, I don't see how this vehicle will not be a success. That there's like a double negative. I don't see how this vehicle will not be a success. If you look at the reviews from Top Gear, if you look at the reviews from Sandy Monroe and Monroe and Associates, from Hagerty, people that know cars, the unanimous sort of things that we're hearing from these publications is that the car is excellent at sort of its driving dynamics, probably significantly better than pickup trucks because of the steer-by-wire mechanic, which makes it a lot quicker to handle, and it feels a lot smaller than it actually is. It has more than good enough range for its class. It's the fastest one of all three by far. It has the best payload, the longest bed, as good towing capacity as the best EV trucks out there. But again, that look is the thing that's completely setting it apart, which by default is going to bring so many eyes to not just the Cybertruck, but the brand, that it's garnering the same level of lust as a Lamborghini LMO02 or Lamborghini Countach. That is a really big deal. That is in my opinion, that is a gigantic deal, not just for the Cybertruck, but I think Tesla in general, because it's essentially cementing the Cybertruck as a sort of legendary vehicle already. It's been out for a week and we're already getting that kind of rhetoric from enthusiast publications. As I'm talking about that, what I would love to bring your attention to is that Jason from Hagerty, Jason Camisa, will be joining my channel next week, Thursday on 12/14 at 1 p.m. Central, where we're going to deep dive his experience with the Cybertruck. And this is a lot of the stuff that I want to talk to him about, not just the driving dynamics, but what does this mean? What does this vehicle mean for the long-term success of Tesla, the long-term success of electric vehicles, the Cybertruck, how car enthusiasts are viewing this vehicle, how the general public is going to absorb this. What does it mean within the context of, let's say, Elon Musk's sort of brand today, and how it's sort of, is there a clashing or is it complementary? There's just so much to talk about. So I really want to thank Jason for agreeing to come in on my channel. If you want to ensure that you don't miss this, subscribe, hit the bell, all that YouTube stuff that YouTubers always say. But I'm super looking forward to having this conversation with Jason. And if you enjoyed this content, like it. Ways to support the channel in the description below, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for stopping in. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.